This is the funniest moment in the history of Somali pirates. 7 armed pirates disguised as local police officers trying to hijack a Korean cargo ship in Mogadishu. Unexpectedly, they were beaten. In the fierce battle on the ship, 2 pirates were killed in the process. The remaining 5 were eventually captured by the ship's crew. When the rescue U.S. military destroyer William IV arrived at the scene, Captain Piao Yinghuan said there was no need to help them and completely controlled the situation. In the early morning of October 20, 2007, a cargo ship named Big Red Dan was heading for the port of Mogadishu in Somalia. Captain Piao Yinghuan completed the supervision and handed over the command to the captain who was responsible for loading and unloading the cargo. Then the ship started to load and unload the cargo for several days. Although Piao Yinghuan had long heard that the situation here was very chaotic, he also ordered the crew to be vigilant. But soon the trouble came to us. On October 29th, 2 small ships surrounded Big Red Dan and observed for a few minutes. Although the watchful navigator reported this situation to the captain in time, when he just arrived, the small ship turned around and left the dock and headed deeper into the ocean. Although full of doubts, Piao Yinghuan, who wanted to complete the cargo transaction one day, did not take this unusual situation to heart. What he didn't know was that the 2 small ships were the local 7 pirates. They had been watching this ship that had been docked in the port for dozens of days. At this time, the captain of Big Red Dan, Garifalla, was leading his men to the Somali coast to find the target. Compared to the docks, to fight on the vast sea, but as more and more countries sent aircraft carriers to build ships, they could not successfully hijack a ship for many days. And today, like usual, they got nothing. Listening to the men's constant complaints, Garifalla decided to take a vote tonight. On October 29th, 2 small ships appeared again in the port after nightfall. And at this time, Garifalla and his accomplices were all wearing red berets and wearing port guards' clothes. Because they were not clear about the internal situation of this ship, they decided to dress up as guards to gain the trust of the Big Red Dan crew. The fact proved that this cover-up method was extremely effective. The Big Red Dan, who thought it was a port inspection, put down the ladder directly, and the pirates did not immediately report their purpose. Instead, they walked around the ship and prepared to figure out what was going on in the ship. They even came to the cockpit to talk to Captain Garifalla. But as the pirates figured out the personnel and force on the ship, they directly threatened the captain to pay $15,000. Until then, Garifalla began to suspect the people in front of him. 7 pirates were divided into 2 teams to control all the personnel in the deck and cabin respectively, and drove the crew of the deck to the cockpit to guard. And Garifalla took advantage of the chaos to communicate the safety phone of the dock. And the pirates soon discovered this situation and began to threaten the captain to leave the port immediately and head out to sea. Obviously, Garifalla was also afraid to have a fight with these local regular soldiers. Although there were 4 real dock guards who responded to the phone and rushed here quickly, but coincidentally, in the process, the car they were riding was almost thrown away halfway. Seeing the Big Red Dan sent out the dock guards who had not yet arrived, they thought they had picked up a big pirate today and got excited. Especially the leader, Garifalla, also claimed that he had become the new captain of the cargo ship of the Big Red Dan. Unbeknownst to them, they were kicked to the iron plate today. At 1:05 a.m., on the way to Mogadishu port, the captain secretly used the VHF 16 channel to send out an emergency signal. The International Maritime Bureau in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, received the message and handed it to the U.S. Navy Central Command in Paris. The U.S. command soon confirmed the coordinates of the Big Red Dan and sent the U.S. Navy destroyer William IV to the rescue. Seeing the pirates who were far away from land, Garifalla raised the price again. He said if the captain paid $200,000, they would give up and leave. But William said that there was not so much money on the ship for them. He was so busy that he could not get a penny. Garifalla was a little impatient at this time.
After he used the radio to communicate with unknown people, he ordered the captain to change course and head to their base camp. Since he had no money, the cargo ship would all be detained. At this time, William was also reluctant to resist. What was originally on the ship was a special item. If it was detained, how would he explain it? Although he had the idea of preparing to resist at this time, but looking at the pirates who were fully armed, William still had a little hesitation. But soon the news in the radio scared him. William was trying to broadcast the pirates on the ship through the radio, and listening to the radio, the Americans had already sent a helicopter. Garifuna was also more determined to counterattack immediately. Once the delay to the arrival of the Americans and boarding the ship will not end. Looking at the pirates fighting with the U.S. military, Garifuna, an eye-catching captain, immediately acted and directly controlled the three pirates and grabbed the weapons. After taking down the cockpit, the people in charge of security on the ship also acted quickly. And at this time, the four pirates in the cabin seemed to hear the gunshot and rushed to the deck to check. Suddenly, there was a fierce fight between the two sides. Although the pirates have always been on the hunt, but the members on the Big Red unit are all soldiers, so in terms of combat effectiveness, it did not fall below the wind, and even burned the first line of the wall. And in the base station, two pirates were also eliminated by the members. It seems the pirates have finished the bullet, have to surrender. And the U.S. military helicopter witnessed this marvelous counterattack. The captain of the Big Red unit, who recontrolled the Big Red unit, returned to the U.S. military and did not need to be rescued. But several members were injured when hijacking the ship, and it was more serious. William's Captain Timothy said that he could provide medical aid. Suddenly, a small team of VBSS started to approach the Big Red unit and picked up the wounded. And out of the 7 pirates, 2 were killed. The other 5 were later transferred to the Williams destroyer for suppression. After everything was done, the wounded returned to the Big Red unit. The captain of the Big Red unit ordered to return to Mogadishu port to continue to complete the logistics. After returning to China, who served as the captain for 27 years, completed the cargo transport mission and was awarded the title of hard-working hero.